Thanks, Jeff. All right, guys, we will get started. Do we have all of library here?
Yes.
All right. Oh, they're very excited back there. You're all here.
Jackie and Joan, good morning.
Library media. Thank you.
Happy to oblige. Good morning. We would like to thank the board for their tremendous support of our Libraries Reimagined project. We are looking forward to seeing the architectural input and designs, but we will continue to move forward within budget limitations to develop innovative, student-centered learning spaces. I'm going to turn the discussion of the details of the budget over to Jackie Bennett.
Good morning. I had a quick look at the budget last night and tried to anticipate what you may have questions about. And so here's my 3 things that I want you to know. We still buy books, both in print and ebook format. That is our largest single expense in terms of an account. The increases you see are mostly driven by vendor increases in terms of cost of services, and those are primarily related to the online subscriptions, the databases that are extensively used, especially at the high school, but throughout the middle school and the elementary school. At the high school level, we added another database to support other areas of curriculum, just to sort of round out our electronic access. With the initiative of the one-to-one iPads at the high school and the fact that we are now fully equipped with iPads at all levels, those electronic access points become more and more important and become more heavily used. So books aren't going away. I still have things on my shelf, but we are also embracing the electronic aspect. That's all I have to say, and I'm open to questions or concerns.
Any board questions on library media? There are none this time.
Just some full transparency, Jackie did request additional paraprofessionals up and down the system for the library. We weren't able to do that. I just want to just recognize that she advocated for that.
Are you able to handle the technological needs in the libraries across the district currently?
So it has definitely impacted our work. I would say that at the high school, and it's random. On any given day, I may see 3 or 4 students who have iPad issues that are easily resolved. The middle school is more of a problem where there seems to be an ongoing parade of students into the library with Chromebook issues. I am eternally optimistic that that will improve with time and it won't be as much of an issue. At the elementary school level, I think they have a smattering of people arriving with Chromebooks that are not working or things that they need help with. So it's a mixed sort of bag of levels of amount of time and the amount of work that's involved, depending. We do keep track. Trust me, we're librarians. We keep track of everything. So we do keep track of everything that we see, and we share it with our administration and the Director of Instructional Technology. So they're fully aware of where we're spending our time and our efforts.
And then only because Dr. Adley brought it up, what was it that you thought that the paras were needed for?
We currently have paras in the libraries, but there's an ongoing need for additional support, I guess is what it comes down to. I'm very lucky at the high school level. I have 2 paras allocated to me who help me with library supervision and student supervision. We're busy, so we need those 2 paras. At the middle school, the para that was there is no longer allocated to the library, so we're down to the 2 librarians. It's problematic, especially in light of the Chromebook issue. And at the elementary school, I think the I don't know that it was policy. The unwritten promise, I guess, was that each of the libraries at the elementary school would have a half-time aide, and that is not fully realized at all levels. As we move to the Library Learning Commons with the reimagined libraries, the need for full-time aides in each of the libraries, both elementary and middle school, will be needed. So that was, I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the administration that this would be an ongoing thing. We were asked to project our needs over 5 years, and it seemed like a perfect opportunity to say, hey, moving forward, this will be something that may be an issue that you may want to start planning for.
Okay, thank you. Any other board questions? Thank you very much. Any public comment? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you.
We will move on to, we have technology before tech ed.
Yes.
Yep,
Knowledge
okay.
education.
Well,
We're gonna do
first we go to
technology
technology.
education first because Jeff Adams is on his way, so we
Okay,
can do
so
tech
we'll
ed
switch
first.
these two.
So we're gonna do
We'll go to tech ed. Okay.
Good
Dr.
morning
McKenna.
again. So we have advanced our STEM program considerably in a short amount of time. We've increased the elementary outreach program, had more robust experiences in coding and engineering through our library media specialists. At the middle school, we have added the Project Lead the Way program, which is focused on engineering and design thinking. And at the high school, we have the additional course of AP Computer Science Principles. We will continue to grow our program within budgetary limitations. We had planned on adding some additional Project Lead the Way classes next year, but we are instead going to extend our current classes and build off of that, and hopefully the year after we'll be able to add a couple of more classes. So I'm going to turn discussions over to Mr. Rich Reynolds, who has exciting news to share.
Do I know about this exciting news?
You ready for this?
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Very good.
Good morning, everyone. So the Darien High School Technology and Engineering Department was recently named a STEM School of Excellence, and this is a worldwide category. There's only 10 schools worldwide that were chosen, and we were one of the top. So it's a wonderful, we're doing something wonderfully well at the high school and doing what we do in the computer science and business and technology department. So kudos to all of you for supporting all the stuff that we do, so thank you. In terms of budget things, there's two major items, I guess, that I put on the document. 73008 is replacement equipment. That is a confusing dollar amount, as well as 123008, which is also very confusing. It's not a 4,000% increase as it dictates. At the beginning of the school year, we had a very important piece of machinery go down that was beyond repair, and so the board voted in, I think it was September, to move those funds. So it seems like, and that's not the case. Other than that, we're looking for a bandsaw on a new metal lathe at the high school, a 3D printer that needs to be replaced, which is pretty small potatoes. And in terms of new technology, new equipment, we're looking for a few Raspberry Pi kits, a new safer wood lathe for the woodworking lab, and 2 3D printers for the middle school that will match the ones that we have at the high school, so the kids will be prepared. And that will help support the Project Lead the Way design and modeling and engineering stuff that they do. And that's it. It's easy peasy.
Questions? Mrs. McCammon.
This is for you as well, Dr. Adley.
Sure.
But given that we, a large part of what's driving our overall budgetary increases is the price of teachers, whether that's healthcare or their salaries. So I appreciate deferring costs such as Project Lead the Way, but I'm wondering about how you're thinking about that, just because this is a 3-year contract we're looking at. So we know for the next 3 years that we are looking at increases at this rate. So can you speak to your thinking around deferring as a
Deferring this particular program?
Well, there's a couple things you're deferring. Maybe we can start
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah, well, I think, look, first of all, and working very closely with RRC chairs and areas of responsibility within central services here, I mean, this is an ongoing discussion about, given the dilemma we're in this year, right, of things that possibly could defer. And you'll see that from some secretarial to other staff and to programmatic stuff, including this.
Right.
So we've had to make a modification here for the kids who are going from 7th grade to 8th grade. We do not anticipate in any way of stopping the program, right, or
Right.
putting a halt on the program, but is there a way that we can transition through this particular period, given the nature of this particular budget year? Just I will say also, as I've tried to, with the help of my colleagues here, really get to know the programs and procedures in the districts from staffing and everything in between. You'll always be a wee bit wiser the year out, and a wee bit more informed as to how we might move forward. But we're not stopping these particular programs, and actually that's one of the things we've tried to do: protect the programs for the children more than anything else. So we'll have to sort of plan that as the staff has done 5-year projections, which has been very helpful. So it allows us to now. We just heard about teaching assistants, right? I think we need to look at what is the district's philosophy around that, because there's not agreement even within administration within schools, let alone administration up and down the system. So those types of things have to be looked at. So these programs will be in place and moving forward, and I'm hoping for better budget years in some ways, but I'll certainly be more informed with the help of my colleagues to make those decisions. But Dr. Silver, do you want to mention anything
Sure.
about the curriculum per se?
Initially, when Dr. McGettigan and Principal Somers had looked at the Project Lead the Way units that they would have liked to see implemented, there are a variety of them. And the suggested units that we had hoped to be able to put into place next year, it's actually not the professional learning that comes with it, but it's actually the equipment. So that is what we've put off. We will have opportunities to look at other professional learning opportunities through Project Lead the Way that just have some more limitations in terms of the actual supplies. So it wasn't exactly what we had hoped for next year, but our students will have likely 2 new modules going into next school year. Just won't be exactly what we had hoped for, just because the price of the equipment was just too high.
So can I pick up on, I think, 2 threads you're both saying that are important. I think we need to be clear where we're looking at changes in models. It sounds like around administrative assistants, secretaries, we're looking at changing models. It's not actually deferring. And where we're deferring, because I think when we say defer, the board is expecting, I might just see it next budget year, and am I just pushing costs down the road, which might not be wise, rather than spreading it out. So I think maybe if you can help, if there are times where you say, well, this was asked for, is it because we're looking at new models and ways of going forward, or is this a cost that we should anticipate in the coming years? It sounds to me like with libraries, what we heard is the Libraries Reimagined isn't done yet, so we're not going to put in staff this budget year until that model's done. It sounds like on this, we're actually deferring equipment, and we should expect to see this equipment, if not this budget season, in upcoming budgets. So I think we're using the word defer differently, and we probably need to know whether you're still exploring new models, or this is a real deferment that the board needs to consider.
Well, additionally, in terms of Project Lead the Way classes, you should know that they are like when you go to Uncle's Deli and you get those tremendous sandwiches, they're overstuffed courses. So through some coursework that we've already done and will continue to do additional curriculum work, those are courses that are easily extended and will still provide an excellent transition for our 8th grade students into high school. So they're not going to suffer at all, and we are just going to go deeper with the courses that we currently have, so they have optimal experiences in design thinking, engineering, and computational thinking.
As
Mrs.
a
Stein.
follow-up to your comments, Mrs. Ockman, could we see a dollar amount of what this would have been if we put it in the budget to understand, to Mrs. Ockman's point, whatever we're deferring for next year, we should have a sense of spreading it out. Is it worth doing this year? Is it worth doing next year? Just to know what dollar amounts we're talking about.
We can bring that forward.
Sure, we can do
Thank
that.
you.
At the presentation the other evening, we tried to note the things, the major things that the staff had asked for that we weren't able to fulfill. Yeah. The other thing I would say that might be helpful, I learned the process this year of the 5-year budget projections. As we build in these programs moving out, given the time in this year and the processes, they all weren't exactly built in, and certainly salaries and everything else was, and major fixed costs. But these programs and these equipment and so on and so forth, we want all of those sort of be major items being built in initiatives moving forward. So you'll see that, and this will be helpful to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any questions specific to Tech Ed while we have Dr. McGettigan and Mr. Reynolds up here? Mr. Maroney.
Going back to the replacement equipment, do we have a schedule of on what we have and when we're going to replace it? Because I'm hearing that we have a metal lathe which is 50 years old and a horizontal bandsaw is being replaced because it's not safe, and I'm concerned that do we have other equipment which is not safe as well, or antiquated or anything like that?
No, the some of that budget is parts that are we're unable to predict. Belts that break periodically, bearings that go bad over time. As new equipment comes onto the market, like the stop saw, do you remember that we bought a number of years ago? That was a brand new piece of technology that didn't exist 5 years ago. So that is the safest table saw you could possibly have, and now we have 2 at the high school. And that's very important to note because all of the equipment is as safe as possible. The lathe that you mentioned was a donation from someone in town. It's a great piece of equipment, but it is on its last legs, and the children don't use it hardly ever. And if they do, I'm standing right there. We're trying to move things safety is a great way to explain what we're trying to do, and the new stuff that's on the market is way better than it was 10, 20, or even 50 years ago.
So last year we invested in the new AP computer science course
Correct.
and then splitting out the course. Can you just give us a brief overview on what you've seen in that?
Sure. So we added the computer science principles class last year, not to be confused with the computer science A class that we had already been running. There's 2 schools of thought. The computer science A class is for computer science people, and the principles class is mainly for everyone else who just still needs to use a computer, like all of you, but needs to understand how that thing works and how they can make that better. The class is full. I think it might even be over-enrolled a seat or 2, which is great. There's definitely a huge student population that wants this technology moving forward. The class is going very, very well. We're running the CS50 model, which is the Harvard model. So the kids are getting as good an education they could get out of this class. It's going wonderfully well. It is. I'm interested to see some feedback from the students at the end of the year about how they feel we could change and improve.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Any public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to technology now.
Mr. Adams here?
Into RC 15.
Jeff here?
You're in 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay, so I promise then we go to Middlesex. So what happens when you're ahead of schedule, which has never happened to the Board of Ed before. Is Mrs. Somers here?
I do not see her as of yet. I do think I see Fitch, am I right?
All right, we will push ahead to Fitch. We'll rearrange the calendar.
No, I don't think Ms.
Nope.
Dunn is here. Only Dennis is here. They're probably on their way. They were told that some of them have a commute, so it takes a little bit to get here.
Okay, so then let's be clear on Mrs. Stein's request. I think what you're asking the administration do, if people come up and there was a deferment in this budget year due to the high costs of healthcare, she's asking that she'd like to see dollar amounts attached. What I would add, and the board can weigh in because this is a fairly weighty report for the budget. We don't quite usually do it this way, but I think it might be important since we keep hearing deferments, is it still the administration's recommendation to defer? Like, are you prepared? It's been a request from a department, but if you're not prepared to implement, that's going to be valuable information as well. Okay?
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with that on the board? I mean, because everyone has wish list.
Yes.
I just want to know the difference between I took it out because I didn't think we could afford it, and I'm not ready, and I understand this is on the horizon.
Great.
Okay. Everyone needs an extra cup of coffee for questions today.
Hang in there, Mr. Cabrera.
No problem.
Ms. Dunn is on her way. You want to take a seat for her, so you're not
Sure.
standing?
Should I make a motion for a 3-minute recess?
No, we don't need to motion for recesses here. We're fine. We can just take a 3-minute recess. But I like your thinking. How about that? So we have a 3-minute break, guys.